Hey guys, welcome back. We're back for week 12. So we're going to kind of go over just like the summary of each game, kind of maybe mess with our predictions for next week, and maybe mess with our power rankings because things have definitely changed. Or at least I would say that. I mean, right?
Yeah, things,
Yeah. There's
there's
a couple games that may or may not have determined some positions
yeah,
for
there's
sure.
there's definitely one game that has affected the power rankings a lot.
I can think of three,
Um,
but that's just me.
to lead off the recap, just so you know, we're recording this in the final minutes of the Eagles Chiefs game.
Mm-hmm.
We both picked the Eagles last week, though.
Yeah.
So either way, I won from last week. Um,
I was like, what, one game off?
2 games off.
2 games off? Okay. That's not bad.
Assuming the Eagles, who are currently up 4 with 2 minutes left, if they can hold on to the lead, I will end 10-4 and you will end at 8-6.
I'll take 8 and 6.
Now Josiah here made a lot of predictions, and I score predictions specifically.
Score predictions.
And I actually did calculate all your score predictions, and I calculated how much you were off for each team,
Oh, yeah?
which comes out to 86. Which
Like in total?
in total, but that's so. It's just gonna be a little bit. Bengals Ravens, you were off by 18, because the way I count it is how far off you were from the Bengals score and the Ravens score, not just total.
Oh, okay. So like combined. Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
see
it
what you're
goes
doing.
both ways. So your most was the Jets Bills game. You were
Yeah.
up by 30, but Josiah here got the Jaguars game perfectly at
34-14. I'm so happy with that one. Trevor Lawrence got over 30 points in fantasy. Yay. I benched him. So that didn't help either. So, I don't know. I'm a little disappointed because I could have started him, but I didn't. I'm a little upset about that. Anyway,
Yeah.
enough with fantasy. So let's just go over just kind of the recap of the matchups that we've had so far this week, and one that's about to wrap up here eventually. So looking at the Ravens and Bengals game, Ravens won 34-20. I guess the most significant thing that I've seen is that Edwards got 2 touchdowns for 62 yards. Jackson was 16 for 26 and 2 touchdowns. Let's see here. There was a fumble, and Baltimore recovered it. Yeah, Baltimore had 5 sacks on the day. So that's like the major from the Ravens side. Obviously, the major thing from the Bengals is that Burrow is now out.
Well, this was an interesting thing. Injuries were actually they were rough. It was rough injuries. Because yes, Joe Burrow is out with a
It's like a wrist.
torn ligament in his wrist.
Yeah, it's in the wrist.
So he will be out for this season. Mark Andrews had an ankle injury on a hip drop tackle. I don't remember who it was. It was reported that he was going to be out for the season, but Harbaugh came out, I think, today or yesterday saying that there's a chance he comes back.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And it could be. I'm assuming they'll go slow with it, and if he comes back, it'll be the postseason. Lamar Jackson actually had 2 very minor tweaks, 2 leg injuries, but very minor.
I did hear about those, but I didn't. It wasn't enough to be like, oh my gosh, he's injured.
Well, but you say that, but it's Lamar Jackson. He's had that, so every time he kind of comes off gingerly, everyone's like,
It's like, oh my god, is he injured again? He's always injured.
He played the entire game, and then there was a Cam Taylor-Britt who had a quad injury. I didn't see how long he was out for, but that
Cam Taylor-Britt.
was that. But
He's done very well.
yep, it was an injury-ridden game, and it continues to raise questions as far as whether we should keep Thursday Night Football, because the concern is always it's a short week and
Yep.
it creates concerns. But that was the Ravens-Bengals game. I was a Ravens fan. I'm happy to win, but I don't like winning like that. And
Now, it was kind of, from what I've heard, it wasn't sloppy. It was just kind of undisciplined in the aspect of you had, for what was it? Yeah, you had a running game, especially with Edwards with those 2 touchdowns. But it wasn't like this is our win. We're doing very well. It was kind of like, yeah, you won, but also you kind of benefited off the
we
loss
won
of a
because
couple
Joe Burrow
players.
wasn't there.
Yeah, that's basically how you won. And I don't
that's-
know if Burrow staying the entire game would have changed the game.
It would have at least made it closer.
It would have made it closer.
There's Jake Browning was not going to lead them, and he could be a solid player.
He
a
was
rookie,
8 for 14, 1 touchdown.
but
So he did okay for coming in for Burrow.
he's a rookie out of Washington, wasn't highly touted, and it's like
Yeah.
it's just that's why I say it's like it's not a win that you don't want to have is because you won because they lost their best player.
Yes.
And I also like Joe Burrow, despite being a
Yeah.
Ravens fan. He's a cool guy. He's super fun to watch, and it's like
He's a good quarterback.
And you never root for injuries.
No,
Especially
never
with
root for injuries.
The only person I would possibly root for an injury, Deshaun Watson, and he's out. So
He's out for the season, so we don't have to worry about him.
but Raiders, Dolphins.
I guess the major thing from that one, Ramsey got an interception. 3
Two
game, yeah. Well,
interceptions.
2 interceptions.
He had 2 interceptions. He had a game-winning interception.
He had a game-winning interception. That's what it was.
It could be. He's playing well, which is funny because we had the whole conversation of he might not be a top 5. He might be a top 5 corner.
I mean, oh yeah. So he had 2 this last weekend. He had 1 against the Patriots and none against the Chiefs. But basically, he has 3 picks. 3 picks after 3 games. That's still pretty good. So, good on him. Crosby got a sack. O'Connell was picked off 3 different times. 2 of them were Ramsey.
Oh, and the Dolphins have Howard back too.
They do have Howard back.
So that team is kind of switched into a stronger defense.
Now they got the piece back.
They got their pieces back on defense.
Yeah. Hill, he got 146 yards for a touchdown and a touchdown. I did see that he got taken out of the game for some reason. But he was fine after a bit, I think. I think it was just like an evaluation kind of thing just to check up on something, but
It wasn't too much other than, the Raiders continuing to look much better.
yeah,
And
they
so
look more
that's
solid.
Good for them. And that definitely is going to impact my picks going forward. But and this just in, the Eagles game has gone final, and the Eagles have defeated the Chiefs 21-17, which
Called it.
puts
Wasn't the score I wanted, but I'll take
Hey.
that one.
I'm gonna
I'll take
update
that
this in my paper.
I just gotta update the rankings real quick.
Funny thing, I only made one score prediction last week, and it was the Eagles winning 23-17. So I was only off by 2.
Ooh, yeah, you were close.
I was
then.
close on that one. But yes, there's that, which actually I was figuring before. That's why I base my power rankings based off of this outcome. So
Interesting.
I'm glad. It makes my job easier. But yes, Raiders
Lot
actually
better.
pretty impressive. The way they played and the way the Dolphins played, it has me confused because
I could never figure out the Dolphins. I don't know if it's they're playing down to their competition, or if it's just something's not clicking on offense or defense. They still won. They're still not convincing me that they can beat like really good teams though.
I think their defense has been stepping up, and their offense has kind of
Just kind of not bottomed out, but like it's
They're not
slowly
playing
getting.
up to it. But it'll be interesting
Yeah.
because they could prove to be doing better. But there's that game. We had Pittsburgh, Cleveland.
Oh, I got some stuff on that one.
Where
I didn't watch the game, but I do have some news on that. So basically, statistic-wise, DTR, 24 for 43, 165 yards, one pick though. Ford got 31 yards for a touchdown. Pickett was 15 for 28, 106 yards. Warren 129 yards and a touchdown. Watt got a sack. Garrett got 2 sacks.
he actually had one that should have been a safety.
That should have been a safety. But from the Steelers side, Najee Harris decides to throw shade at Canada. I quote
Rightfully
from
so.
Randy Oliver, "There's just a lot of stuff that just goes around that you guys just don't see." I guess I'm trying to say is just, I'm just at a point where I'm just tired of this shit. Quote from Randy Oliver. That was from Fox Sports. That's not a good look. Canada, is your seat getting a little toasty up there?
His seat's been toasty.
I know it's been toasty, but is it getting a little bit warmer now? Because now that players are actually calling you out.
Steelers continue to be outgamed in all 10, now up to 10 games this season. Every single game have been outgained in yards, total yards.
Because their offense does not generate anything.
And here's a really sad stat for Steelers fans. There are 315 QBs in the NFL who have attempted 500 passes since the merger. There's only one who has scored a touchdown, who's thrown a touchdown on less than 2% of those throws, and that is Kenny Pickett.
No way.
It is. And
Oh my gosh. That is something that
it's attacking.
it's such a random fact I did not know, and I think that just kind of shows that Pickett's not that guy. I don't have faith in him. I never had faith in him.
It's hard.
I don't know
to
why
say
people
when-
saw he was like a good quarterback. He never was confident in the pocket, and when he would ever throw down the field, he always overthrew. Especially, I don't know what point of that game was, but he completely overthrew one of his receivers.
I can't. Even,
He's probably gone next year.
I can't judge him with Canada there though. That's the issue. Is like
He's just not good.
I
That's
think
my
he
take.
could. I think he's better than he's playing. So I think it's hard to. I think
see
it's hard
that.
to judge him. But those are my 2 tidbits on the Steelers. I'll let you go to the Browns.
All right, so for the news and the Browns, I got 4 things. They're short and sweet, but I think they're fun. So DTR after the game, he was in tears. He was crying on the sideline because that's his major victory. Cornerback Mike Ford took a terrible towel and like wiped his butt with it. There's video of him doing that during the game. This is throwback to 2018, by the way. So you remember Garrett hitting a helmet over Rudolph's head? Garrett got one of the Steelers' helmet.
I saw this.
And 2 of the linemen were like, "No, Garrett, give me the helmet. You're not having this helmet right now."
But
It got flashbacks.
I don't know if you've watched. Because I saw it a couple times on Twitter. The way he picks it up and he just stares at it.
He's like,
and someone walks.
he's having Vietnam flashbacks while he's doing it too. He's
It's-
like, "Oh Lord."
It looks like a Winter Soldier thing where
Oh
he's
God,
just-
no.
he's like, and then they walk
gonna
over
do
and they
it.
take it, and he's like, I'm just kidding. I'm like,
I'm gonna do it.
it was a good clip. I did
Yeah.
know that was my thing for the Browns.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Okonkwo.
Where's the spelling?
But basically,
Okoronkwo?
he played with a hospital band on his wrist, and he dedicated that game to his newborn son. So that's just kind of very sweet news.
DTR, it's his first time back starting. How do you feel about him as a starter going forward for the rest of the season, or do you think he should not? Because I watched the game, and
That was the one game I couldn't see.
the stats I don't think help him because there were a lot of drops.
Oh, there were definitely a lot of drops. Because 24 for 43, I think you would get more with that. I didn't see the game, so I didn't see how many times the receivers were dropping.
David Njoku
Also,
drops.
first time, full time starting the game, he doesn't have that like one-on-one connection with like his receivers, I assume, or like he's still getting comfortable with like their playing style or just the offensive scheme maybe. So maybe that's the issue. I don't know. I didn't see the game. I didn't see all those drop passes, but he did pretty decently for his first like official start. So I'm hoping he does better statistically wise the next game, but we'll see. I don't know. I have faith in him. Don't know how far it will go though. So I'm curious to see how well he does after this game.
I really like him. I'm hoping he continues to do well.
He's also a good guy too.
And again, yeah, he was playing against a good defense.
Yeah, that was another thing. I think that kind of solidified him as like an option, like a very good backup option if someone were to go down on offense. I think he's a pretty good backup quarterback.
I think for the rest of the season, I think he's your best option. Definitely over PJ Walker.
Oh, definitely.
And this is other news. Even with the Browns having signed, was it Joe Flacco to their? I think he only went to the practice roster.
I think he's in the practice roster right now.
But I think DTR is still your best bet. Ooh, Chicago and Detroit. This one was.
Okay,
rough.
Let me pull up the statistics. I have it. Hold on.
So it was a final score of 31-26.
Detroit got lucky because I was playing in the pet band and I kept looking over at my friend who was freaking out because fantasy-wise he had Laporta and St. Brown playing on his roster. He's like, why is Goff throwing all these picks? He threw 3 picks against the Bears. Goff, are you okay? That's something I haven't seen in a long time. But other than that, they still pulled off the victory, but that should not have been as close as it was. They got lucky that day. I mean, Gibbs and Montgomery both ran 1 touchdown each. St. Brown got 77 yards for a touchdown. Williams had a touchdown. There were 2 sacks. Hutchinson sacked Fields for the game-winning safety. Fields did okay. 1 touchdown, 16 for 23. Foreman got a touchdown. Moore got a touchdown for 96 yards. 2 sacks on the Bears. So not awful, but
the Bears actually did play pretty well.
Yeah.
The Bears choked this game.
Oh
away.
yeah, definitely. They had like over a 98% chance of winning that game, and they lost it.
They were up 26-14 with 4 minutes and 15 seconds, and they let I don't know what's worse, the fact that they let the Lions drive down, score 2 touchdowns, or the final drive attempt, because as you it wasn't even a sack for a safety.
No,
it was a strip sack
forced.
that got kicked it through the end zone,
and then it ended up being
And I just watched that, and I'm like, it's gonna bring me to a point later, to talk about. But ugly
it's
win. Another ugly win for the Lions, and
it's a divisional rival.
It is.
I think. I know it's not an excuse, but it definitely is like, okay, it's a divisional rival. Teams tend to struggle against divisional rivals, unless you're like the Chiefs against the Broncos for like the past 5 to 8 years or whatever it was until this year. But
I mean, you saw it with the Lions last week though too with the Chargers. That's why it's raising.
Their defense is concerning me a little bit, but although on the bright side of things, Lions are 8-2 for the first time since 1962.
Whoa!
Guess who was still in office at that point? Kennedy.
I was about to say JFK, and I was
Kennedy was still in office at that point. Yeah, that's a little. Speaking of presidents, I don't know why I have us here, but I think he's a reporter. Scott Hansen. He may or may not have accidentally announced on live that Jimmy Carter passed away. Like during during the broadcasting and everything, which I'm pretty sure that's a big no-no, especially on air during like games and stuff like that. But I don't know the code for that yet.
Packers.
Chargers Packers.
Chargers win or Chargers lose.
They lost
23-20.
I called it. I called it. The Packers were going to win because they had Lambeau. It wasn't really Lambeau Field, but it's hard, especially for an LA team, to win in Lambeau. I actually have a friend who is a Packers fan who actually looked at the statistic, and I think LA teams do terrible in Lambeau.
Understandable.
So there was that.
But,
I mean,
the Chargers are one of the LA teams. The thing, I have a stat from that game, which is there's a lot of things that the Chargers did wrong to lose. The Chargers lost that game. The Packers did not win that game. The Chargers lost that game. They even though Love put up like 322 yards for 2 touchdowns. Yeah, but the guys were wide open. The defense was it was a bad showing from.
I got a quote about the defense here in a second, but
yes, the Chargers receivers had 7 drops in that game. What was it? 4 of them were on crucial third downs. 3 of them were for touchdowns. And I think one was a Keenan Allen wide open drop, and basically
Allen. No.
But Quentin Johnston dropped a very crucial one late. Everyone focuses on the Quentin Johnston one. The Keenan Allen one was worse though.
Was it worse?
In my opinion, it hits him right here, and he just goes. Quentin Johnston though, he's running, he's beating his guy. He's got it in his hands. It hits his hands, and he just goes.
Clip. Yeah,
and then
I've seen that clip. It. Yeah, I saw that.
The receivers had a rough.
Johnson, what are you doing?
It was a rough showing.
It was a rough day for the Chargers.
I've seen a lot of content going, Justin Herbert, and I'm like, did you watch that? They got a delay of game. I don't know if you've seen this clip either.
No,
there's the clip of they were in like a rushed offense. And Herbert goes up in shotgun, and he's trying to like urgently snap the ball, and the center doesn't snap it until after they get the delay of game, and he spikes the ball and starts yelling at his center.
Yeah, I would have.
He was pissed.
I would have been really upset if my center did that, because I assumed it was a communication error, but also if your quarterback is yelling at you to snap the ball.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it was.
I would like to think it was a miscue, but that's just.
It was a miscue, but he was doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he even. I have to double check, but
Herbert was 21 for 36, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah, no picks. He also.
He did all right.
He was the leading rusher.
Yeah, he was, because Eckler had 64 yards and a fumble.
Which I don't know if you saw Eckler. There's a clip of Eckler running the ball. It was a handoff to the left. Everyone was just jumbled up, and he bounces it around and has like a clear lane, and he gets run down because he's battling back from injury still.
Yeah.
But he looked slow.
Was he sore? Like, was it confirmed that like he's? Wait, what injury did he come off of? It was a.
I think it was a leg injury.
Was it a leg injury?
But he looked slow. I don't know. You could probably look it up. It's like all over, but it was just it.
That's not good.
To be fair, Justin Herbert did have 73 yards. He ran.
He did
well,
have 73 yards,
but
that's disappointing.
The Chargers, and again, Keenan Allen still went 10 for 116 and a touchdown.
Oh yeah,
he could have done so much better.
Oh, definitely.
The Chargers let up a last minute touchdown basically.
Oh boy.
And then it was not pretty.
So basically, one of the interviewers asked Staley, like, what are you going to do on the defense? And I quote from Fox Sports NFL is, you can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defenses, okay? So we're clear. So you don't have to ask that again. So basically, Staley is saying, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, okay. So
no, that is just confirming to me that Staley has no idea what he's doing.
I don't know. Did you actually watch like the video of the press conference though?
I watched the quote. I didn't watch the entire press conference, but I did see that live.
Okay, because I've seen people cut that quote a bunch just to that part.
Maybe that's what I've seen.
There's so much more. It just on that one question, he talks for like a minute or two.
Okay.
So there's a lot, and it's not like everyone talks about I'll be calling the plays, which I just thought was funny because he's like, I'm the guy, and I'm like,
I'm gonna be the one to save this defense.
That's
where I got that from.
It reeked of like. There's two things, like when someone's about to lose their job and then they say shit like this.
Yep.
McDaniels, when he said, "Don't say that about my team," when talking about the Patriots, and Zach Wilson last year when he lost them, he lost them the game. Like he did horrible, and then he went, "It's not my fault." I'm like,
"You're on your
This is how you get benched," and he did. So I think
he's a third stringer. He's a third stringer now.
In new news, he did get benched for
took
Tim
so
Boyle
long.
and who was the guy they picked up?
Simeon? No.
Trevor Simeon.
Yeah, it's Simeon.
Is now the second string, but regardless, that's later. I'm glad people clipped it because when he because I don't have much faith in the Chargers right now. If he gets fired, it's gonna be really funny. But
I think it's gonna be hilarious. The fact that he's not been fired is remarkable. How is he not fired? This guy should have been out like last year, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, we'll get to coaches in a bit.
Yeah.
But I think it's really funny how he speaks confidently about like, I'm gonna be the play caller. Like, no question.
Never did anything.
You know who can say that? Bill Belichick.
Belichick can say that. Yeah.
Belichick can say that. Not Staley.
Titans and Jaguars. I mean, Lawrence 24 for 32, 262 yards, 2 pass touchdowns, 2 rush touchdowns. He got 4 touchdowns on the day here. King Henry only had 38 yards. Hopkins got a touchdown, 59 yards.
It was a nice throw from
Levis. It was a nice throw, yeah. It was a nice throw. But that's all that really came out. Well, I guess Ridley did get 103 yards and 2 touchdowns that day. Etienne was not helpful that day. 52 yards in total. He was not being used at all.
It's not that he wasn't being used. The line wasn't blocking. I think
was the line?
There was a play he got blown up because he got the ball and took about 1 step and got blasted by Jeffrey Simmons, and I was like,
yeah, that sounds about a normal day. Cardinals at the Texans. 20 for 30 for Murray, 214 yards, 1 pass touchdown, 1 rush touchdown, and interception. Connor only did 62 yards. Moore had a touchdown. 3 sacks for the Cardinals, which is pretty good. Texans, on the other hand, Stroud, why did you throw up 3 picks today? Or whatever, Sunday? 27 for 37, 336 yards, but 3 interceptions? That's oof.
They reeked of like just cocky throws.
Oh yeah, they were pretty bold. I did see the picks. They were really bold. Yeah. Singletary got 112 yards and a touchdown.
Looks like
Schultz had 32 yards and a touchdown. 3 sacks for the Texans. The highlight I would like to highlight, Tank Dell, 149 yards and a touchdown. That beauty of a pass from Stroud to Dell. Did you see that?
I did.
Oh my God. I hope they destroy upcoming defenses for just like that for years to come. I need to see more of that. That was a beautiful pass.
Yeah, this was an interesting game to watch because it was the Texans almost gave it away because of C.J. Stroud's turnovers.
Yeah, it was turnover.
I think it's just retribution for the such high praise he was getting. Mm-hmm. But he still
gonna happen eventually.
He did put up 336 yards and 2 touchdowns. So even with those interceptions, he still did a decent amount. Yeah. I'm impressed with the run game of the Texans because, like last week, we mentioned that their run game hasn't been very apparent, but apparently it's because Devin Singletary is the one been carrying and not Dameon Pierce like everyone thought. But
yeah, Pierce hasn't done a whole lot from what I've heard.
I'm very impressed with the Cardinals.
They're kind of rebounding. Not in the sense like they're going to go anywhere, but in the sense of like, yeah, they still have the pieces.
Well, it's like I watched the defense and I'm like, this is an offense that has been looking really good, and they went and kind of just shut them down. I mean, again, they let up a lot of yards, but only 21 points. Their defense showed to be pretty good, which I think is what you get with Jonathan Gannon. Mm-hmm. He's done pretty good with that defense. And then, again, you look this is what I've been seeing is I think Kyler Murray played really well.
I think he did pretty well for.
They didn't score a lot of points, and I think
No.
their receivers are lacking because
They don't have a whole lot of talent there
they
now.
have Hollywood Brown, and that's
Hollywood Brown is probably the only one I can think of, but
I think they have a lot of promise, and I think something that a lot of people have been saying, at least at the beginning of the year, was Cardinals are going to tank, get Caleb Williams. I think if you watched this week and last week, though, I think
they might be sticking with Murray.
I think it's the best bet because you can either go out and get a Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, that would be good.
Or you can do what the Bears did and trade down if you end up with the 1 seed, like the number 1 pick.
Cowboys, 33-10, not surprising whatsoever. Highlights:
Tron Bland.
no interceptions for Prescott. 4 players had over 30 yards receiving. 7 sacks. Parsons had 2.5. Let's see here. You have a.
I don't know if you saw Deron Bland got his record-tying pick six.
I was just about to talk about that, yeah.
But it kind of just further enforces the fact that defense is the Cowboys are really good against bad offenses. Doesn't matter what the defense looks like, but when they play a bad offense, they dominate.
Oh, yeah, they definitely
That is
dominate.
just reinforcement. So
Yeah.
that's kind of just like I'm
Like I said, the Cowboys need to win against a solid team in order to prove to me that they are actually a good team this year. And they are a good team. It's just I'm talking about them being a solid team, solid enough to like get past the freaking divisional round.
Well, even then, even if they prove that, I don't think they'll get past the division.
They won't get anywhere.
The only way they get past the divisional round is if they manage to get the first seed, and I don't know about
That is not happening,
Yeah.
especially with the Eagles now winning.
Yeah.
One more thing. Jimmy Johnson, he's going to the Cowboys Ring of Honor.
Oh, I did see that.
Good for him. So it's good to see that.
Classy Jerry Jones. Yeah. Giants, Commanders.
Got a couple of news from that one.
All right, I'll let you go.
But statistically wise, DeVito had a day. 18 for 26, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns. Barkley had 2 passing touchdowns. Slayton had a touchdown and 82 yards, 4 sacks on Howell.
That actually seems like a good day for the line.
Yeah, it was a really good day. Howell was 31 for 45, 255 yards, 1 pass touchdown, 1 rush touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Robinson Jr. had 73 rush yards and 58 pass yards. Dotson had a touchdown, but not much. 9 sacks on the Giants. Like, the Commanders were everywhere on the Giants that game. They had more sacks than the freaking Cowboys, which is insane.
The Giants are as well as the Commanders, the Giants are also one of the teams with a horrible O-line.
Yeah.
I think the issue with the Commanders, other than just turnovers, because I think they turned it over 6 times, 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles. But other than that, and just O-line and turnovers, their defense kind of not like the D-line. Surprisingly, is the thing that I thought was going to crumble, but actually has been the strong suit, and it's been their pass coverage that kind of. Because it's Tommy DeVito. I don't know if you've seen like some of the touchdowns. People were like, I'm talking. It's like, Tommy DeVito, he's lighting it up, and I'm like, do you see how he hit Darius Slayton? It was an underthrow. He was wide open, and then Slayton came back, got the ball, made a guy miss, and walked into the end zone. It was bad from the coverage.
I mean, DeVito, he looks pretty good, but obviously that was the Commanders, so can't put too much on that, at least for right now. But there was a brawl during that game. Cornerback Cordell Flott from the Giants got ejected, and Curtis Samuel got ejected from the Commanders. So that happened. Cornerback Deontay Banks on the Giants mocked the Commanders. I think it was on Instagram Live, I think. Just not just basically mocking them for not drafting him after the win, just basically saying fuck them. That's all he said. But I thought it was kind of funny. And to reinforce the fact that FedEx Field is the worst stadium ever, is FedEx Field had water heater issues, so none of the players could shower. Just tear down the whole thing. Like, might as well at this point.
I think do it. I think we'll see a lot of changes. It's just the reason you haven't yet is because of ownership took over late in the offseason.
They still have to figure that out still.
I think there's a lot of changes that will be made in the next year or two, and I'm actually excited. But that also is going to come around. Did you see the rushing touchdown from Sam Howell?
No, I did not.
It was one of the most devoted runs by a QB. He took 3 tries, and he scored. I'm pretty sure he scored on the first or second try. But he was one-on-one.
He wanted to keep going.
He ran, and he plowed into a guy, but he bounced off of him. And then did it again. I think the second one was when he got in. But he got bounced back again. And then he just kept going, even though the play was, like, over, and he scored the touchdown. It was, like, the most devoted run I think I've seen out of a quarterback. And I'm like, this guy...
I like those.
This guy is here to play. This guy wants to win.
Yeah. I like that mentality.
I love...
For the Bucks and Niners. I mean, nothing too crazy. Purdy, 333 yards, 3 touchdowns. McCaffrey got a passing touchdown. 4 sacks for the 49ers. 3 players had 1 sack each. Mayfield did okay. He had a pick and a fumble. Evans had 1 touchdown and 43 yards, so not that good. And 4 sacks for the Bucks. Davey got 2 of them. But that's about it.
It was kind of what we expected with the...
I was not surprised.
But it's like... It begs the question, are the 49ers back on track? Have they corrected the ship?
I think they have for the most part.
I think they have.
I mean, Purdy was pretty confident that game. So we'll see.
In some rough news, Talanoa Hufanga tore his ACL in that game.
He did?
He tore his ACL. He's done for the year.
What's with all the injuries this year?
It's
the injury gods hate football this year.
It's rough. It's just
everyone's getting hurt. Quarterbacks to wide receivers to defensive backs. Everyone's getting hurt. It doesn't matter what position you play. That's stupid.
It sucks because he's been a pretty good safety.
Bills and Jets.
Bills, Jets. This is another team. You think the Bills have?
I am surprised. I was genuinely surprised that the Bills pulled that off.
It's one of the best performances against the Jets because the Jets have been notorious for like hassling quarterbacks this year.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I haven't looked at stats.
I mean, Allen had 3 touchdowns for 275 yards
and only 1 interception.
1 interception. Cook had 73 rushing yards with 29 passing yards and a passing touchdown. 6 sacks for the Bills. Floyd had 2.5. Wilson had 81 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Hall had 23 rushing yards with 50 passing yards and a touchdown, 1 sack. Did you see the video of Wilson falling on his ass?
I did.
That really sums up Wilson's career in a nutshell. That was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen somebody do in a long time. We got the Mark Sanchez butt fumble.
It's always the Jets.
And now we have Zach Wilson falling on his butt.
I kind of feel for Zach Wilson. I don't think New York is... I don't think anyone has believed in him since...
No.
Like, halfway through his...
he did good against the Chiefs, and that was about it.
I think he has potential.
I don't believe him anymore.
I think that's class was just a hidden talent class, and no one has found that hidden talent as far as quarterback goes.
I guess.
Except
for
it's just hard. Was in that class?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Because there's Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones actually.
Mac Jones is ass.
I think he has the least talent, but he has the potential to be like a game manager, kind of like a Baker. But
when the Patriots were like, "Oh my gosh, Mac Jones is the next Tom Brady," I'm like, "No, he's not." Watch in a couple years. Here we are in a couple years. The Patriots have one of the worst records in the league right now.
But look at the other guys that were drafted around him. Would you rather have Mac Jones, who's on a bad offense and hasn't done much, Zach Wilson, bad offense, hasn't done much, Trey Lance, injured and literally hasn't done anything?
I guess my point is that he was good for a year and a half, and he's never been good ever since. And I kept telling everybody he is going to get exposed, and he got exposed this year and a little bit last year. I said they had it coming. They had it coming, and here we are.
He did look. He has had the most promise, I think, of the three. I think Trey Lance is purely just based off his athleticism.
Hype and everything. Yeah.
But
news from the Jets and Bills game. Rodgers coming back week 16? That's what he said. He wants to come back.
Will that happen? He wants to start practice by December 2nd.
That's not very far away.
It's not.
That's like less than 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know how he comes back and plays and expects to stay healthy with that O-line, but
he's gonna get destroyed behind that O-line. Yeah.
Just pick up your feet. Just keep them high. You may not do well, but your ankle will be okay.
Just whatever.
But yeah, that's about.
Couple interesting things that happened during that game as well. Defensive back Tony Adams on the Jets apparently had a hand injury during the game.
Oh,
I saw he broke his wrist, and there was some bone showing. Did you see that?
It came like through his glove.
If there was glove, I'm like, oh, no, thank you. And then other than that, there was a fight that broke out after the loss in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Because for some reason the Bills let the opposing team run out the same tunnel as the Bills. And CBS, I don't know who did it. Did you see them cutting to Hamlin after Taylor Rapp got carted off the field?
No.
Because Rapp, I think what happened was that Rapp got knocked out, I think. He had a neck injury during the game. And they showed Hamlin on the sideline. And then now I see Yahoo Sports saying Taylor Rapp is the latest Bills player to be taken off the field in an ambulance. Why do we need to have that? Yes, I understand injuries are a bad thing and we need to report it, but in that manner, I think it's just kind of inappropriate. But maybe I'm just a little too uneducated in that department. But I feel like that was a little too much right there. But Seahawks and Rams. I did not expect the Rams to win.
Yeah,
I think everybody and their mom said that the Seahawks were going to win. But surprise. Rams pulled off a victory. Smith did okay.
He did. From what I heard, I believe Smith and Walker ended up actually leaving the game with injuries.
Yeah, Locke had 2 for 6, 3 yards, and an interception, so he didn't do anything. But Stafford did 17 for 31, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It's not terrible.
Did you see the interception play, though?
No, I did not see the interception. Which one, on Stafford or? Stafford? No, I did not see that one.
It's a clip that makes me love Matthew Stafford, but also concerned for Matthew Stafford.
God.
Because you know how Matthew Stafford is.
Yeah.
He's so tough. It was like was it a play action or like a flea flicker or something? It looked like a trick play.
Oh boy.
And he gets it and he launches it to I don't remember who he launches it to, but he launches it downfield and ends up getting picked off by Tariq Woolen. But the clip of him actually throwing the ball, he throws it and then gets rocked. Absolutely demolished. And I'm like,
boy.
This quarterback will do anything to win the game. He stood there and took that hit and delivered a full pass. albeit it
I love
was.
me some old fashioned football, but as long as you're not intentionally injuring the quarterback, I think it's fine.
It just I love. Most quarterbacks are gonna like cower, do whatever. He was like, nah, I'm
taking this one.
Hit me. He didn't even like short arm it. Full brace, just throw it and just took the hit. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Come on, hit me. Yeah, I knew Stafford was a pretty tough quarterback because I mean I've seen him truck people.
Well, I don't think anything sums up how tough he is better than the. Well, I don't remember the game for the Lions. I don't know how long ago it was.
It was a while ago, but
the shoulder injury where he came back in and just one with like a broken, dislocated shoulder.
Yeah, and then there was the one game where he trucked 2 different defenders. He's a tough quarterback, and I wish he was like in his prime still. Yeah, but other than that, Nakua, 70 yards, 1 touchdown. Henderson had 1 yard, 1 touchdown. Freeman had 73 yards, but other than that, nothing much. And now we go to the Vikings and Broncos. Broncos
called it. Just want to.
Hey, Broncos. I would like to formally apologize by saying that Wilson has done a lot better in recent memory, and I'm going to say that Wilson is definitely back. He's definitely back.
What was it that you said last week? You have to see it to believe it.
See it to believe it. Yeah, I saw it.
Did you
I believe it now. 27 for 35, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Williams had 37 yards. Sutton had 4 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. 2 sacks by Cooper and Browning on the Broncos side. Dobbs did all right. 20 for 33, 221 yards, 1 pass touchdown, 1 rush touchdown, an interception. Oliver got 4 for 4, 47 yards and 1 touchdown. 2 sacks from Hunter and Wonham. So pretty balanced on defense, I would say, but definitely more in favor of the Broncos on offense. One thing that I did see from this game is that the safety Kareem Jackson, he got away with a dirty hit during the game, and now I think in recent news that he got
4-game suspension.
4-game suspension. Yeah, did he get a fine slapped on him as well?
I imagine so.
It's whatever, but
yeah,
I saw the hit. I don't remember how it went, but I just know it was a bad enough hit where I was like, yeah, they should have thrown him out. But
was that the one on Madison or on Dobbs?
I think it was on Dobbs. It was on Dobbs. So,
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think the refs need to do better. We've been saying that for years, but they just never get better.
Broncos played well. Again, like I've said, they don't have a super talented roster, but they're winning games and scrappily. Sutton with another big touchdown, proven to kind of be the more consistent, I think, receiver.
Yes, definitely a more consistent receiver than Jerry Jeudy.
Wilson is now currently the quarterback with the best TD to interception ratio, and I didn't notice that he actually has
He's currently leading he's currently leading 3 categories on offense and is tied for tied for second for 1, and then I think 5th in another ranking. But he's done really well.
He's like, he doesn't have a lot of yards. He has again, I think 4th most touchdowns, and he's low in interceptions. There's a couple people who have less, but they don't play much. So he's looking really good. I do have to say, and again, this is part of the Broncos playing scrappily. The Vikings did not seem like they even wanted to win that game. They were up 17-9.
They should have won that game, but for some reason they decided to not win it. I don't know why.
Their defense, they were up 17-9. Their defense held the Broncos to 2 field goals when they were started in good position. The Vikings offense didn't do anything to help them, though.
Well, to be completely fair, Denver has a pretty good defense.
Their defense has corrected pretty well, but like they needed to do something more than come away with 3 points on 3 or 4 drives.
Yeah.
And the again, good defense by the Broncos, but the Vikings defense was trying to keep them in that game, and they
didn't work out.
So disappointing. That ends
Womp
the Vikings did have the longest win streak that is now over. So now I don't even know who it is. I know
I
the
think
Broncos
it's the Broncos actually.
at 4.
They've won a lot straight ever since Sean Payton had his playbook revealed on camera. I think they've been winning ever since.
They're at least tied. They're
tied?
at least tied with the Eagles.
Okay, so
Eagles
it's
are
the
at
Eagles and the
4.
Broncos that are currently leading with a winning streak. Okay.
Broncos and Eagles are tied for longest streak, so good for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it did just end half an hour ago. But the Eagles Chiefs game.
Yep.
I'm gonna do a short recap because we don't know that much about it, but yeah, I don't know if you want to go with stats. It's not again. We're not.
I'm not gonna go much with stats, but I do want to mention that Travis Kelce, he has been stating that he might retire due to a lot of injuries. I didn't read too much into it, but basically he's saying he's getting pretty worn out from what I've been hearing. So we might be seeing the end of Travis Kelce here soon, and that sucks.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see Jason go out as well.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And the thing is that I want the Kelce brothers to stay as long as they can, but if they're getting beaten up to the point of that they can't play anymore, then it's time to retire.
Well, the other thing is they have their podcast now, so they have an outlet outside of that. And again, it kind of hasn't been big news, but Jason Kelce every year, past couple of years, has been in this sort of I don't know if I'm gonna come back.
And then he might retire this year as well.
I think he retires soon. I think both of them play because they love the game, but what sucks is that they didn't get in the spotlight until they were already old. They're old. They're pretty old.
Older,
they're up in age, and it's it's unfortunate that we haven't gotten a full. We haven't had this spectacle with them for their entire career. It's been pretty short-lived because Jason's been in the league 12 years?
Something like that. He's been around for a while.
I think he's been 2011. But
yeah,
they're older, and it
might be time to go, which sucks.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I do have an interesting stat that I saw earlier. This is the fifth matchup in NFL history, where it's a regular season Super Bowl rematch. And I believe this marks the first time that the defending champion has lost.
Yeah, I did see that. And that's why a lot of people were betting on the Chiefs to win, or at least from what I've heard.
I would have stuck with the Eagles.
I believed in the Eagles mostly because I knew they could probably seal the game. I know it was going to be hard because they're playing at Kansas City, but I had faith that they would probably beat them, and they did.
Kansas City.
And I did predict a close game, just not that low scoring. I had a Super Bowl score that basically flipped. So
Kansas City further proves they might have one of the best defenses, or they definitely have one of the best defenses. They might have.
They have a good defense. Their offense is slowly.
They didn't score in the second half, and
which is alarming, especially with Mahomes as your quarterback. That's alarming if you don't have any progress on offense.
They've had issues on offense all day. I'll start. Just because I have an honorable mention with my top 10, and that is the Denver Broncos, because I don't think they're good enough to be in the top 10, but they're
good.
They've played well enough for me to give them a shout out because I love the turnaround.
They've definitely turned it around.
They've done a really good job turning things around. The defense especially, but they're doing just enough to win, and I think it deserves a shout out. I'm happy for them.
It definitely deserves
but
shout out.
Not many changes to mine. It's kind of just shifting around teams. I have one new team in my top 10, and that
really
is my number 10, the Cleveland Browns. Keep it short and sweet. They have such a good defense.
Their defense I think, is the best defense in the league right now, and nobody can argue with. I don't think anybody could change my mind. Garrett is everywhere. They're locked. They're locked.
That's the thing, but I could say that about so many teams. You could say that about the Ravens. I could say it about the Chiefs. You could say it about the Steelers, the Browns. Like, there's a lot of really.
I
good
think
defenses.
the Browns have the better defense.
But
that's just me.
They've also let up a lot of points.
That's true, but they do have a solid defense, and then they can win the games on a final drive. Like, they can stop them, I think. At least they have the capability to do that, but that's just my opinion.
They've won games.
Yeah.
Despite
I think the only thing that I would move around in my standings is the Lions would go down, Niners and Ravens go up. Same with the Cowboys. I think the Lions would either get knocked down to 5 or 6. In my opinion, but I don't think, other than that, I don't think anything changes in my rankings.
Yeah,
I don't see anything.
I have some shifting. It was really weird because there were a lot of teams that after last week that I had my top 10 that I was like, I kind of want to drop you out, but I didn't have anyone I could put above them.
That's the other thing. There's not anybody who's good enough to replace them.
So,
in my opinion,
I actually had the Texans going up one spot.
Oh,
and again, it's just purely because teams fell below them, and I couldn't put anyone above them. I'll say it now. The team that dropped out was the Bengals.
Yeah, that was not a surprise.
Yeah, it's nothing that the Bengals did. It's
just Burrow.
You lose Burrow, and I don't think
that's your entire offense right there. Not your entire offense, but like that's
a
very very important key to your offense. That if you do not have, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for that.
Yeah. Texans I had up to 9. Dolphins I dropped down to 8 because
that's fair.
They're
not convincing me still, but
maybe if they continue to win the way they have been, then maybe they can move back up. But if I'm used to them relying on their offense, and their offense didn't do much, so creates concerns.
That's a very big red flag right there. Is that if they cannot win in a very convincing fashion against these kind of teams, then I fear for the worst when they play an actual good team.
But we'll see. Maybe they're just playing smarter.
We'll see.
7, I have the Jags. I had them moving up 2 from 9.
Yay! I think the Jags are doing better now. I think they finally clicked, especially after beating the Titans. I know it's the Titans, but like, I think they finally clicked. It is a little bit more on offense.
It's 1 week, which is why I'm hesitant. If it continues,
then maybe
they'll continue up into the top 5.
Yeah.
6, I wanted to move them down, but again, the teams below them I couldn't put above them. Yeah. It is the Lions. If they had lost that game, they would have dropped.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would have dropped them.
The concerns on offense and defense have continued the past 2 weeks, and they're starting to resemble more of like a classic Lions team. Like, their record is good, and I hope that they continue to win. And but like the way they've won the past 2 games has not been pretty. I just need to see him turn it around before I can have him move back up. Mm-hmm. This one I think you'll find funny. I did drop the Cowboys 2 spots.
Really?
Only because I just feel like the win I feel like just has affirmed that the Cowboys just dominate good or bad defenses. Bad offenses.
Yeah. And I do agree with that, but like, it's very hard to be consistent against bad teams with how many points they're putting up. But then again, like I said, they need to prove to me that they can actually beat a good team. But they are a good team, just not as good as certain teams.
Good team against bad
teams, though. So that's why I'm hesitant to do anything with that. But yeah.
Going on,
predictions.
I still have my top 4.
Oh,
sorry.
No. Never mind.
I'll make it quick though. Chiefs I kept at 4, just because they're a really really good defense. Their offense has been suspect though, and it lost them a game. But keep going. Ravens I have up at 3. They looked good. Yeah, it was without Joe Burrow.
Yeah, it was. But I think beating the Bengals with Joe Burrow still would have been a good boost in morale.
Yeah, and I think I basically just flipped Chiefs and or not Cowboys and Ravens from last week. I just think Ravens are looking better. Just against
complete.
better teams.
They're more complete, I feel like.
Yeah, as long as they can stay healthy, I think they're okay. And especially if they can score in the second half, which they did.
Exactly.
49ers stay at 2 with a dominant win, and then Eagles stay at 1 because
9-1.
They can do what they want.
Nobody is close. The Lions have an 8-2 record, but power-wise, they're not close.
I think Eagles have to play poorly against a not great team for me to consider moving the 49ers, who are pretty high on my board above them.
Yeah.
So
I still think Eagles are better, though.
Yeah, they're both really good right now. But that includes my top 10.
Yeah.
And we can get into predictions, which means we get to start with Thanksgiving football, which will be, I believe, the noon game starting first will be Green Bay at Detroit.
That's right. Lions are winning.
I also have the Lions winning. I'm concerned with the way they played against the Bears.
Yeah, but this is a home game. Packers are not that good. I think Campbell will bite some kneecaps and be like, "This is what happened to you if you do not do well." That might make them.
I feel like Dan Campbell's the kind of guy who's going to be like, "This is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is our game. We're winning this game." I feel like that's
I want to eat, and I think they want to eat too.
I feel like he kind of is like has that sort of like protectiveness.
Cowboys are beating the Commanders.
Cowboys beating Commanders. That's the 3:00 game on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for Thanksgiving football.
Dude, I love Thanksgiving football. 49ers are beating the Seahawks.
Yeah.
That's not a surprise. It would be if the Seahawks, won.
From what I've heard,
I don't think so.
They're optimistic about Geno playing, so it could be
that's good.
Closer.
I did put them at like a 10-point victory, but
it's gonna be weird because it's if the 49ers play like they have the past 2 weeks, it's gonna be an easy win. But
definitely.
We'll see. Then Friday night, Black Friday football.
Oh god, that's crazy.
We got Dolphins
and Jets. Dolphins win that 35-13. I don't have faith in.
Well, it is Tim Boyle. Yeah,
it is Tim Boyle.
I just don't know that the Dolphins even put up 35. That's my one caveat. I think it's lower scoring.
Like I said, they put up good points against bad teams. It's the same thing with the Cowboys. They put up good points against the bad teams, for the most part.
We'll see. It's a good defense. That's why I'm hesitant. But we go on to Sunday's matchups. We got the noon slate, which will be
Colts and Bucks, right?
Oh, yeah. I have this in a different list, but we can start. Yeah, Colts, Bucks. I'm going with the Bucks.
I actually went with the Colts, only because of home field advantage, and the Bucks haven't really. I don't know. Neither team has won in convincing fashion, I think, in recent memory, at least for me. Well, no, the Colts did win one of the games recently that was pretty well put together, but other than that, I think the Colts might sneak a win there, but I don't believe in the Buccaneers right now. It's not that I don't doubt Baker Mayfield, it's just that he's not as he doesn't really pique my interest of like, yeah, this is a guy who would win this game. I don't know. It's going to be a close game. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, it's just the past couple times the Colts have played, I thought they were going to win, and then ever since is it Browns game? I don't remember.
Browns game.
I don't remember. They've choked games away, and the Buccaneers they do have a good squad.
I just don't trust that squad to do anything like. I don't know. That squad won't surprise me. Is my situation. They don't like if they beat the Colts by like 20+ points or something like that. I would be surprised then. If they barely beat them, it's like okay, whatever. It was a toss-up game, anyways. They gotta surprise me, but
yeah, I have Bucks.
That's okay.
I've believed, especially because their offense is a little bit better.
I have the Giants winning against the Patriots.
I also have the Giants winning against,
but only by 7 points. I think it's going to be a 13-6 game. But now with DeVito's performance as of late, I don't know anymore.
My question is actually more on the defense. If they can turn over Mac Jones like they did Sam Howell,
I think they're pretty solid.
I think that defense is getting better. Thibodeau's been more of a presence, and Isaiah Simmons got a pick 6.
He did.
It wasn't really a big pick 6.
No, he got one, I guess. He got one.
The pick was what was important. The return didn't. Really
the return not
matter.
so much.
But yeah, I have Giants just because I think I think the Giants have a better chance. I don't know what it is, but I don't see the Patriots winning. Plus, Giants always beat the Patriots. Yeah.
Let's see here. Steelers, I have winning barely against the Bengals, only because I don't know why. This is at Cincinnati, and it's just going to be a really close game, mostly because I don't trust Matt Canada offense with Kenny Pickett under center, and the Bengals. Yes, I know they don't have Burrow, but they still have everyone else.
They do.
So I don't know. It's hard to determine that game. I think the Steelers do win. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a very wide margin of a win, though.
It was tough for me. I basically picked two things, and that was I think Steelers get outgained once again, and I think Jake Browning does enough to get to have like a 14-point lead going into the fourth, which I think will be enough to not allow Kenny Pickett to win. So, because we all know he can only do stuff.
I can see it going either way. It's just I see the Steelers somehow winning that game. They tend to BS their way through every game. I don't know how, but they do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, especially, now I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be.
But
Titans,
I have Bengals.
Yeah, Titans are beating the Panthers by one score. It's not going to be a great competition.
I actually picked the Panthers.
You picked the Panthers?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I guess that's one of the games that I can see them winning. I didn't think about that.
Like Will Levis, I think he looks a little bit better. I think this is just one of those games where Bryce Young shows a little bit. And the Panthers have a good defense. Which Will Levis can still get like a player or two in there, but he's against good defenses. He's still had a tough time.
Yeah.
And it's a lot because of the offense. But I just see it as kind of just one of those where it seems like the Panthers like are severe underdogs when they shouldn't be severe underdogs. And I just see the Panthers being able to pull this one out.
Yeah.
So I have the Panthers. Then we got.
I have the Texans beating the Jaguars, but barely, 34-31. I think it's going to be a shootout.
I have no idea for score. I just know I have the Jaguars.
I'm confident it will be a shootout.
I have the Jaguars on this one because.
I mean, honestly, I can see either of them winning though, because the Texans, they've been on a hot streak. Jaguars, they're starting to get the momentum back, so we'll see. I'm curious. It's one of the matches where I'm looking forward to.
For me, it's it could be a bounce back game for Stroud, but I could also see it as he's kind of cooling off, and also revenge game where the Jaguars got embarrassed by the Texans earlier this year.
Yeah, but at that point we weren't sure if the Texans were just good at that point or if the Jaguars just had a really bad day.
I think it was a bad day regardless.
I think it was a bad day. It's just now we're like, okay, maybe the Texans are good. Maybe that's why they beat them.
I think still then they were struggling. I think that's just it was inexcusable for the Jaguars, and I think it's one that they have to get right, and I think it's a revenge game, and I think they take it, especially if Lawrence can play another mistake-free game.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I have Jaguars, and then we have
Falcons will lose to the Saints.
Yeah.
Falcons are not going to convince me that they're going to win anytime soon.
They've been choking like they usually do, and
That's just
they're
normal.
back to Desmond Ritter, I think
I
is
think so.
what I heard.
I
And
haven't looked at it yet, but
they've started treating Bijan like Kyle Pitts. So
stop doing that to their players. Get
once-
Arthur Smith out of there. He's not using their players correctly.
he does really well with the defense. I think he needs to be demoted
I do think
to
that
either
too.
like. I don't think he's managing the entire team correctly, so I think he needs to get demoted. I think they need. He just doesn't strike me as an actual head coach.
No.
So I think he needs to go.
He's more of a
but yeah.
he's more of a DC than anything.
Picking Saints and then what onto the Rams.
Rams. I have the Rams winning.
3:00 window. Yeah, 3:00 window. I have the Cardinals winning.
That's fair.
I think they've started to show that they can.
The amount of games I've said like I can see as a toss-up is kind of concerning, but it makes it more fun that way.
Well, it's just inconsistencies. We've seen both sides of all of these teams, and it's like you just don't know which one's showing up.
Exactly.
I think Cardinals.
Maybe they'll win. I don't know.
They've been showing a lot of promise. I think that they're still looking for their first win with Kyler though, and
Yeah, but
even though
he's been close though.
he's close. He's itching for it, and I think a division win.
That might
is-
help them.
I think that's kind of where, because again, if you're the Cardinals, you're not looking to necessarily. You're not going for playoffs. You're looking for promise.
Promise, yeah.
And I think with Kyler, they're getting that, and I think he's going to continue to show that because
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows he's playing for his job right now,
Mm-hmm.
and he
He
only has half a
definitely
season.
is.
But I think he's got.
Yeah.
I think it's a prove it game.
Let's see here.
Browns
and Broncos. I have the Browns winning.
I have the Broncos winning. I am now a Broncos believer.
I do believe in the Broncos. However, like I said before, Browns have a really good defense. So do the Broncos. However, I think the Browns will edge out on top, though. But we'll see. I don't know.
Broncos have been very good at beating teams above them. They've done very well as underdogs, and it's
That's true.
it's
That's
keeping a
also
low
true.
score and getting just enough. Because last week it was this week it was 21-20 against the Vikings. Last week it was 24-22 against the Bills.
Bills, yeah.
And then it was
Bills was a good game to like revive hope, I think, because like the Bills, they've been hot and cold this year. I don't know what to think of them at this point. But yeah, the previous game before that, it was a good win.
I just think
Surprise.
they're playing good team, even if it's
Yeah.
the Bills when they weren't playing well. It's like
Yeah.
these are teams that are still like considered pretty good
The teams,
top
in general,
teams,
yeah.
and they're just. I think Sean Payton is going to do enough to get them
Somewhere.
like 20 points, and I think that might be all they need, like a 2016 game. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I see that.
I have Broncos.
I have Eagles beating the Bills.
I do too. I think the Bills look better in this game.
Just not better enough than the
But
Eagles.
it's just
Not good enough.
the Eagles just beat the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs right now look better than the Bills. If the Bills can look
At least
newfounded,
good.
like if they continue to look like they did last week, or this last week,
They might itch a wild card spot if they start getting some wins here. But
I think it's gonna start opening up because I think some of those lower teams are gonna start. It's
they're
still a
creeping
toss
up
up
on it. They're creeping up on it. I've been
still a
noticing that.
toss up in the playoffs because
Mm-hmm.
Bills are. It's just there's openings, and I think Bills can get in, Broncos can still get in.
Mhm.
It's going to be interesting. But yeah, I do have the Eagles because I just think the Eagles are going to be too much. But
Mhm.
if the Bills win this one, might have to look at putting them in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got
Chiefs are beating the Raiders.
This is my upset of the week.
This is your upset.
I have the
Ooh.
Raiders have looked good.
Okay.
Well, I won't say good.
They
Much
look better.
much improved.
They look better. I will give them that.
And
That's interesting.
it's a division game, and the Chiefs are on. What are they on, a 2-game slide right now?
2 games delayed? Oh.
Yeah, back-to-back weeks
Yeah.
with losses. And, well, not back to... They had a bye last week.
They had a bye last week, but they had
loss
2
to the
losses
Broncos
in recent memory, so...
It was lost to the Broncos bye week.
And
Lost to the Eagles. Again, these are teams that are looking... Like, again, Eagles are top team, and Broncos, at the time, weren't looking like it, but they have been the most improved team.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the Raiders who are playing good teams close.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
I don't know. I can see that. I can see that.
I don't know. I kind of like the underdog story in this one. I kind of like the AFC West turning things around. Except for the Sunday night game. I don't see this one being a turnaround game, especially if Brandon Staley's still there. I have the Ravens winning.
Oh, I was about to say, don't. I was like, I'm hoping you're not saying the Ravens right now. Yeah, Ravens are going to beat the Chargers, but they're going to keep it close enough because it's normally what they do.
And the question, okay, here's my certainty at which the Ravens win depends on whether or not Brandon Staley is there. If he's there, I'm like 100% sure they're winning. But if Staley gets fired, maybe they could pull out a win depending on who they put in there. But I think Baltimore wins it, and I think this is one of this will not be. Oh, fun fact that I have not mentioned with the Chargers is that the Chargers this is their 5th loss on the year by 3 or less points, which is the most in the NFL. And I don't think this is going to be adding to that stat. I think this one's going to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think if Ravens stay healthy and score points in the second
half. I actually have the Ravens winning by 3. So
really?
Yeah.
Is it a Justin Tucker last-minute field goal?
I don't know. Depends on how you interpret it.
We'll see.
And Vikings and Bears. Vikings are easily going to win that one. But
I forgot I picked a couple upsets. I have the Bears winning.
Yeah, the Bears winning that one?
Justin Fields look better if they can.
Vikings are hungry, man.
They are hungry.
They want wins.
And they're playing. Their offense has been
I guess
very game managing.
Fields has turned things around a little bit. Not
it's
to the
1
point
week.
of Wilson, but he has turned it a little bit around.
I think
after 1 week.
I think Bears show it's a divisional game. I think again their offense is starting to realize what they can do.
Definitely.
If they played the way they did against the Lions, against the Vikings, I think it's an easy win. They just need to not choke it away, and I think if they choke it away, I think Eberflus is gone. That was something I was going to try and talk about, but we are running long, so we won't do it this week. But I was about which coaches go next. But Eberflus right now, I think, is kind of on the hot seat, and I think if he blows a game this week, he might be gone. But I think they can come out and show improvement.
I think if Staley loses this game, if he's still around, I think he's fired.
I've been saying that for the past.
I know we've been saying that for the past couple of years now, but he's got to be fired at some point.
They might just wait until the end of the year.
Honestly,
maybe they're tanking.
I don't know anymore. They're not. Chargers, what are you? Please tell me. Are you tanking or are you actually trying to do something here?
I think they're trying. That's the sad thing. At least the team.
At least the team is trying, not
Russ.
so much the staff or the owner. But
rankings?
Nebraska. I want to go to a bowl game.
Oh, this was an interesting thing. I think Nebraska's actually the favorite.
We are favored against Iowa. I think the rumor is right now is that Iowa is benching their starters for the Big Ten championship. However, rumors. Don't know if that's confirmed or not. But if they are, maybe we have a chance of beating them.
Do they think they have a chance in the Big Ten championship?
Oh, they do not have a chance in the Big Ten championship.
Does.
If they even have a small chance of beating either Michigan or Ohio State, they need to rest their starters.
Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah, that's this week.
Who do you have? They won't have Harbaugh. Michigan doesn't have Harbaugh.
No.
So that's the one thing because I do believe Michigan's
Is it at Michigan?
That is, I do not know that.
You know, because last year was at Ohio State.
It should, yeah, it should.
I think it's at Michigan.
So who do you think wins and takes the East?
Home games really determine everything, and I think Michigan might win that game. If it was at Ohio State, I don't think they will.
I'm
it's
not
hard.
same reasoning.
It's hard to tell.
Without,
It's like they're good. I don't know which one's better.
I think Michigan's better. It's just hard to tell without Harbaugh if they can win.
That's fair.
Especially because they almost lost to Maryland.
Yeah,
but Ohio State, all year I've been saying that I think they're going to suffer a loss to somebody.
It's got to be this week.
It would be. It would have to be this week because I think Iowa's won the Big Ten West, and I think Iowa doesn't. I don't see Iowa upsetting them.
We're in such a bad division. I don't know anymore, man.
But I have Michigan just because I think their talent is better.
Yeah.
Ohio State just has Marvin Harrison. I mean, they have a good defense and a seemingly good O-line. Their quarterback situation.
I don't trust the quarterback situation. That's just me. That's just my opinion.
Jumping over to the Big Ten West.
Nebraska,
Iowa. This might just be one that we're going biased, but I've been saying for weeks that I think we beat Iowa because Iowa's kind of the same team as us. They've won more games. I guess made less mistakes.
Yeah.
Kind of. But Chubba looked a lot better.
Yeah. Looks so confident. For 2 drives.
I almost might prefer him over Harburg at this point.
At this point, because I think Harburg is still injured.
And definitely prefer him over Simpson.
Yeah.
But
but I will say this, though. It's in the script. We're going bowling. We're beating Iowa at home. We're going bowling. It's in the script, God damn it. We're going bowling.
Yeah,
I want to go to a bowl game.
I'm picking Nebraska.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just because I've been...
Oh, it's like we're Nebraska fans or something. I don't know. I mean, I can't tell, not me wearing Nebraska bands at all.
I'm not a Nebraska...
I'm no Nebraska fan at all. No bias whatsoever.
I've been saying it for weeks, and even with Iowa starters, I still think we have a pretty good chance of beating them just because...
Yeah, it's at home. We won a bowl game. We're dying for that 6th win. So, I don't know.
That's just if we can play mistake-free. Or less mistakes.
Yeah, less mistakes. I think that's what you're looking for. But
I think we beat Iowa. I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that's about wraps everything up. So,
this has been Week 11 recap, Week 12 preview. Let's see who goes better in predictions this week. But we will see you next week.
Yes.
When we recap Week 12.
Mm-hmm. We're going to try and do these as soon as possible. I think a Wednesday would probably be the best time to...
Wednesday or sooner?
Works. At least it works, I think. But at least try to get it out before Thursday. But
yeah,
last week we were just too busy.
There's a lot going on. But...
We're broke college students. We're busy. So, we'll see you guys later.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.